how to enable SSH connection on Cisco routers and switches. SSH connection will be enabled on switch 1. We will test connection from PC 1, and also on router 1 SSH will be enabled, and we will test it from PC 1 if everything is working fine. Let's start with configuration. Show IP interface brief will give us information about ports or interfaces on switch 1. Switch virtual interface VLAN 1 is currently down, so we need to turn on this interface and also to assign IP address with command interface VLAN 1 and IP address 192.168.1.2 255.255.255.0 and command not shut down to change state up to turn it on. So we can see that interface changed state to up. Next, we need to create username. I will use lab and password 123. You can do any username or any password that you want. Next is to create IP domain name. I will use lab.com. You can use any name as you want. Crypto key we need to generate, and to specify how many bits will be, we will use 1024, and we can set up version of SSH to version 2. Next, we need to configure line VTY 0 to 4, and we will specify login a local command. This means where is database stored, so we will use username and the password that we just created. Transport input. This command we can choose to just enable SSH or Telnet or all connections. So this means that actually SSH connection incoming will be available and enabled to this switch. Now from PC1 we can try to test if everything is working fine. So with command telnet, and by specifying IP address, we will use IP address of the switch virtual interface that we just configured. We can see that we have verification process, so we need to enter username lab and the password 123. Everything is working well. Now we're going to enable SSH on router 1. All steps are actually the same like on switch 1 what we did, so only here you need to set IP address on interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 or any of available interfaces. So on the switch you need to set IP address to assign IP address on switch virtual interface, and here you are using regular router interface. So with command interface gigabit 0/0, now we're going to assign IP address 192.168.1.2. you can use any other address that you want, /24 subnet mask, and command no shutdown to turn on this interface. Now you can see that actually state will change to up. Next is to create username. Lab and the password 123. IP domain name lab.com. You can use any domain name here. You don't need to specify or to create DNS record about this. You just need to put any DNS name. So we are generating RSA key. So as you can see, we need to define host name of this router. So with command host name, you can specify the name. I will put router 1. So you can see that router changed the name. So we are generating now RSA key Again, we will put 1024 bits. IP SSH version 2. And we need to configure virtual lines for this router. So there is actually 16 virtual lines, so we are configuring all of them. We are specifying locking local, so that means again that we will use locally stored database with username and password that we just create, and we are enabling SSH incoming connection to this router. We can test this. So to log in, you need to type SSH -L, you specify username lab, and then you need to put IP address. So as you can see, everything is okay. We are entering the password 123 and we are inside of the router, so connection is successful. I hope that you understand how to enable SSH connection on Cisco router and switch. Thank you for watching.